And there's two questions that were asked on one survey that I think are the most alarming when it comes to this idea of the pastor's soul and how the pastor is feeling and how he or she is being cared for and taking the time to care for their own soul. Listen to this. There was an item to endorse, and this survey said that only 2.3% of the respondents endorsed this item. I feel I am positively influencing other people's lives through my ministry. Only 2% of the pastors interviewed felt that they were having a positive influence. Like they were, if you said success is influencing people in a positive way in ministry, only 2% felt that. Man, I don't know how that doesn't weigh on somebody's heart, on somebody's soul. And here's another one that I think is just so important that we have to pay attention to is those things add up. And if a person is not taking care of their soul in ministry, boy, we begin to define who we are in really negative ways. And so the key to effective pastoral leadership is understanding I have to not only take care of the soul of others, I don't have to tend to other people's spiritual formation, but I have to tend to my own spiritual formation. So what's happening?
Idea of pastor. This is our job description. It's our job description. The idea of a shepherd talks about, so he has the analogy of a shepherd and sheep, right? A pastor and his flock. And so the Lord helps us by giving us that picture of ministry, where the shepherd is an illustration of the spiritual care of God's people, and God's people are the flock. And so the great analogies are made between the shepherd and the pastor, the church of God and the flock, and we do that. And so it really helps us to identify, our job description, what God has called us to do. I've given you A, B, and C there. Let's revise it a little bit. Under A, that's before B. Put the actual work is B, is A, to lead the flock. To lead the flock. We'll start with that. To lead the flock. Put Hebrews 13:7. And Hebrews 13:17 and 1 Thessalonians 5:12. Along with that, add 1 Peter 5:2. 1 Peter 5:2. God has called us to lead. And so you are the basic leader in the church, and you're going to lead by your character. You're going to lead by who you are primarily. We'll also learn principles of leadership, okay? But you are the leader. You provide direction, vision. You provide modeling, example, etc. But you're the leader. Number two, we're called to feed the flock. John 21:16, Acts 20:28, 1 Peter 5:2. And 1 Thessalonians 5:12. The whole idea here is nurture. That the health. This talking about the health of the flock. The health of the flock. The shepherds exist to produce a healthy flock. That's the purpose of it. So if after 10 years of ministry, your flock is still dysfunctional, still messed up and still unhealthy, whose fault is it? Yeah, it's our fault. It's our fault. I say that because this is up to you. You have to be able to take the flock, and you may take a flock that is going to be a little bit sick or has much illness to it. But your job is to take this flock and to feed it, to nourish it, and to produce then a healthy flock. And we'll talk more about that in 7:12. What is a healthy flock? Ultimately, just to help us a little bit, a healthy flock is where the love of God is being displayed towards one another. That's the ultimate description of health. It's where the flock loves one another. It is not measured by knowledge. It is not measured by knowledge. Maturity is never measured by knowledge. Maturity is always measured by the love of God pouring out from our lives into the lives of others. Okay, understand that. And that's going to be the ultimate display, of if your flock is healthy. Number 3, your job is also to protect the flock. Protect the flock. We see that in Acts 20:28. Acts 20:28, where the Apostle Paul writes to the Ephesian elders, right? Be on guard for yourselves and for all the flock of God. He says, after my departure, savage wolves will come, not sparing the flock. And so the flock has enemies, and your job is to protect the flock. So you're a guardian, you're there to protect the flock. By the way, protect the flock from wolves from the outside, those that are trying to destroy the flock from without, and then also protect the flock from within, because sometimes the worst enemies of the flock are the sheep themselves. Sheep do bite, and they end up biting each other half the time. Okay, and so part of our job is to make sure that the sheep are not self-destructing. So it's a 24-hour issue. 24-hour issue. We are
Great leadership doesn't start out on the stage. It doesn't start out as governors or mayors or presidents or CEOs or managers. Great leadership starts out in the back. Today we're going to be talking about leadership, and before you do, we want to prepare your hearts and minds by understanding that leadership starts in the pews. If you're in a church, it starts in the pews. If you're in a business, it starts down in the janitorial booth. It starts with menial things. That's why the Bible said, despise not the day of small beginnings. You have to understand, though, and I want you to get this in your mind and in your heart, and most of all in your head about leadership. When you begin to grapple with leadership and life begins to move you along, career, opportunities, or I believe the presence of the Holy Spirit begins to move you along, because promotion really doesn't come from the east or the west, it really does come from God. It is possible for life to lead you faster than your mind is prepared to handle. God can move you into such a place that positionally you are in a state of leadership, but mentally and emotionally you really haven't got a grip on what life has handed you. And if you don't know what you have, you don't know how to take care of it. If you don't know how to take care of it, you can mess around and lose it. The truth of the matter is, leaders come from ordinary places. They deal with ordinary issues. And I'm going to share some things with you that I think are very, very helpful for you to realize. First of all, I want you to understand that when you're saying to yourself that you want to be a great leader and you want to really go the extra mile and you want to do what has to be done, you're asking for trouble. You are absolutely asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. And if you think about this a minute, you'll learn a very important concept that I think you need to understand. In the corporate world, in the business world, they actually pay you more money as you move up the ladder with more responsibility, okay? So if you are a superintendent, you might not make as much as a general manager. A general manager might not make as much as a regional manager. A CEO would make more than a regional manager. Let me tell you something. They're paying you for conflict. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's not enough to have the degrees. What they're paying you for is your ability to manage conflict and pressure and struggles. Let me speak it, since I'm in church, let me speak it in biblical language. To him whom much is given, much is required. And so the more that is placed into your hands, the more you have to be able to handle and deal with and to be able to manage it. And I want to say something to you, to those of you, all of us are leaders in some way. All of us are leaders, whether you're leading your children or whether you're leading your family or just leading yourself. Sometimes it's hard to get yourself to act right. But as we go up in levels of leadership and we begin to develop more responsibility, we also begin to embrace more pressure and more problems and more adversity, and new levels bring new devils, bring new challenges, bring new opportunities, more of everything. Somebody just say more of everything. So when you are where you are right now and you say, I can't take this, I can't handle this, I don't want any more, this is driving me crazy, you are saying, I don't want to go any higher. You are rejecting the call to move forward, because moving forward and moving up means more problems. In fact, the problems that you're dealing with right now may be the fact that you are in training for the next level of leadership.